Bangladesh stands at a crossroads. While the nation has made economic strides, a shadow looms over its progress. The increasingly authoritarian rule of Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. Her long tenure has been marred by a disturbing decline in democratic principles and a tightening grip on power. This essay will explore the deeply concerning state of affairs in Bangladesh under Hasina's leadership. The international community has watched with growing apprehension as Hasina consolidates power and undermines democratic processes. Independent media outlets face intimidation and censorship, effectively silencing dissenting voices. Opposition parties operate under constant threat, with many leaders imprisoned or forced into exile. Elections have been marred by irregularities and violence, raising serious doubts about their fairness and legitimacy. This systematic dismantling of democratic safeguards has created an environment of fear and repression. The erosion of democratic values in Bangladesh has far-reaching consequences. As an aspiring democracy, Bangladesh once held the promise of becoming a beacon of hope. However, Hasina's increasingly autocratic tendencies threaten to derail this progress. The international community must not stand idly by as these alarming trends unfold. It is imperative that we hold Hasina accountable for her government's actions. The future of Bangladesh hangs in the balance. The path chosen by its leaders will determine whether the nation will continue its descent into authoritarianism or rediscover its commitment to democracy. The time for decisive action is now. The international community must engage with Bangladesh through constructive dialogue and support for pro-democracy forces. Only through a collective effort can we hope to steer Bangladesh back towards a path of inclusive governance and respect for human rights. One of the most alarming aspects of Hasina's rule is the systematic dismantling of democratic institutions and the suppression of dissenting voices. The space for free speech and independent media has shrunk dramatically. Journalists and bloggers who dare to criticize the government risk harassment, intimidation, and even imprisonment under draconian laws, like the Digital Security Act. This climate of fear has had a chilling effect on public discourse, stifling critical debate and independent reporting. The Digital Security Act, in particular, has been widely condemned by human rights organizations as a tool for silencing dissent. Its vague provisions, which criminalize a wide range of online activities, have been used to target journalists, activists, and ordinary citizens who express views critical of the government. The law has created an environment of self-censorship, where individuals are afraid to speak out for fear of reprisal. The judiciary, once a pillar of Bangladesh's democracy, has also faced increasing pressure and interference from the executive branch. Judges have been subjected to intimidation and harassment for issuing rulings that displease the government. The independence of the judiciary is essential for upholding the rule of law and protecting the rights of citizens. However, under Hasina's leadership, the judiciary has been weakened, undermining its ability to serve as a check on executive power. The erosion of democratic institutions and the suppression of dissent have created a climate of fear and uncertainty in Bangladesh. Citizens are afraid to exercise their fundamental rights, and the space for civil society to operate freely has shrunk. This is not the hallmark of a healthy democracy, but rather the warning signs of an authoritarian regime consolidating its grip on power. Corruption has become endemic in Bangladesh, permeating all levels of government and undermining the country's development. From petty bribery to large-scale embezzlement, corruption siphons off resources that are desperately needed for essential services like healthcare, education, and infrastructure. This widespread corruption erodes public trust in government institutions and creates an uneven playing field where only those with connections and the willingness to engage in illicit activities can thrive. One of the most egregious examples of corruption under Hasina's government is the rampant looting of state-owned banks. Billions of dollars have been siphoned off through fraudulent loans and other financial irregularities, leaving the banking sector in a precarious state. These scandals have not only undermined the financial system, but have also highlighted the culture of impunity that exists for those in power. Transparency. International, a global watchdog organization, consistently ranks Bangladesh among the most corrupt countries in the world. This widespread corruption has a debilitating impact on the country's development. It discourages foreign investment, undermines the rule of law, and exacerbates inequality. The poor and marginalized are disproportionately affected by corruption, as they are often forced to pay bribes to access even the most basic services. Addressing corruption is not only a matter of good governance, but also a moral imperative. It is a cancer that eats away at the fabric of society, undermining trust, eroding institutions, and perpetuating poverty and inequality. The Hasina government must demonstrate a genuine commitment to tackling corruption by strengthening anti-corruption institutions, promoting transparency and accountability, and ending the culture of impunity for those who engage in graft.